some hot takes for you guys that are really spicy. Just some ideas that I've had over the years that I want to share. It's also a live Q&A, so if you have a question, type it in the chat. Holly will ask me the question, and I'll address it as we continue. So the first thing that I have is I actually don't think you can be consistent without a schedule. If you take your business seriously, then it has to happen at the same time each week. I think if you do it whenever you want to, that's more like a hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just if you're trying to build consistent traffic, which leads to consistent sales, then having a schedule makes it way easier. So for me personally, my workers come at a scheduled time. I try to do things at a scheduled time, and it's made it a lot easier to be consistent. So prove me wrong. Okay. Next one is, if you know how eBay works, you should know why your sales are slow. So this is my personal hot take. I think if you understand how the traffic works, how the promotions work, how items rank, how pricing affects it, how coupon affects it, you understand how all the pieces work, then you would know exactly why your sales are slow. So maybe people have some questions now, but that is probably my biggest hot take, which is if you really understand eBay, then you'll know why your sales are slow. So a lot of people will say, I tried sending offers, my sales are still slow. Or I tried running a discount and my sales are still slow. That's only one of like 200 things you need to do to make your store work. So it's never one thing you change and the whole store changes. That's like not a realistic way to look at anything. You wouldn't say I ate a salad, I'm in great shape now. It's only one piece of a huge chunk of things that you need to do to make anything successful. Okay, the third one is if you don't have a big Rolodex of $20 profit items or more, you'll be stuck at a certain level. The reason why I say this is because you can build a job income where you make what you put into it if you sell common items. But if you never have a home run profit item, you never make a lot on a certain item, you can't really fuel that growth because there are items in your eBay store or Poshmark or Etsy that never sell. So to compensate for that, you also need some home runs. So it can't just be items that are just common. So a lot of you have been asking, oh, didn't you build your business on common items? Well, this is my next hot take, which is selling common items is more of an advanced strategy. When you're just starting out, you shouldn't sell common items because you need to have uncommon results in the beginning when you're starting to get that ball rolling. So I recommend take your time and only find unique, rare, cool items in the beginning so you can get some traction. Is there a question?
Yes, there's a couple. Mason Jandro is asking, if I delist relist with the same listing but just add new photos, is that the same as delist relist with old photos for the eBay algorithm?
I think the eBay algorithm knows that you're doing that and it's not as good as a fresh, brand new item. And I don't understand this kind of mentality. And I'm going to give you another hot take here. You guys ready? Related to this. I think that you make less money cross listing one item on the two platforms than listing two items on the one platform. So same effort, you're doing two listings. One listing is the same item on two, so you make $10 per item, so that's $10, versus you use that same amount of time to list two items on one platform, that's $20 profit. So I don't understand the math behind how cross-listing makes you more money. So in this scenario where you're delisting and relisting the same exact item with different pictures, to me, that's a huge waste of time. You should list items right the first time and then use that time that you'd be listing the same item again with new pictures to list a totally new item. So there's an obsession in the reselling community with listing the same item over again. So I don't understand that. Like, you can list the same item 20 times and still only make the profit of one item. Another one?
Scott Raymond is asking, can you explain how you set up the router with the SIM card for your storage unit internet access?
Yes. So there's two different ways you can do it. I currently have a T-Mobile home wireless internet setup. So it's a tower from T-Mobile, and you buy it from them. I think it's like $60 a month, and you can connect 10 devices to it. It's really good, and it's very common in like rural areas. The other one that I had was you could plug it. It was an unlocked router that I bought on eBay that you can connect any cellular device into it, and it will provide internet for your whole storage. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm using cellular data as my internet in my unit. So that's how I get internet here. And then I have a backup hotspot on my phone, and I have a backup hotspot on the iPad. So everything has its own Wi-Fi in case one goes down. Awesome. Okay. So next is going to be, I don't know if you guys are going to get mad at me for this one, but I think that your entire eBay day should take less than 4 hours. So if you're spending longer than that, that's because you choose to take longer. So there's a lady in our group that used to take all day to list her items. Her listing goal was like 5 to 10 items, and it took her like 16 hours to get it done. But then after just doing what we talk about in the group, which is customer service, picking, packing, and shipping, photographing all of her items, listing all of her items, she was done at like 8 in the morning. So like she used to get done at 9 o'clock at night. Now she's done at 8 in the morning. So I think that if your listing goal is under 50, it should take you less than 4 hours a day. So that's my hot take. So if you guys don't agree with that, let me know. Or if you have any questions related to that, let me know. But it's amazing that, why is Delist Relist so popular? Who is popularizing that? Not me. Let's see. Is that it? The shortest live ever? No questions, guys? This is a live Q&A.
Here's one more question.
Okay.
Digital J is asking, what is your view on selling digital products like square templates or print-on-demand business on Etsy?
I think it's really good. I just came back from a wedding, and there was a lot of these types of things. The cake topper was a print-on-demand with their name on it. It was a wood-burning thing on Etsy. So I'm assuming you go on Etsy, you purchase a customized cake topper, and they use something like a Cricut to print that for you. I think that's great. You need to have a wide variety of things to customize to get everything. And then in that business, there's a huge benefit to being able to supply like 3, 4, 5 different things somebody might need. So I'm into the personalized products, but you either need to be really wide, like you offer everything related to a wedding, or you could be really deep in one niche and just say like, we make custom hats, and we have 40 different kinds of hats and 40 different kinds of fonts and 40 different kinds of embroidery. That way you're the hat person or you're the wedding person. Being a themed seller is really important. If you're going to sell digital products like website templates, then I think it's also good to have different themes so people can pick minimalistic or boho or dark vampire theme. Whatever they're looking for, you need to have something that matches for them. So I'm a big fan of digital products. It is more competitive, but you can make it one time and sell it over and over again.
Next question is Linda Ramirez says, should I use Terapeak for everything I list?
No, I think especially not after you learn the basics. So a Jiu pair of pants is going to sell for similar to a Banana Republic pair of pants, similar to Talbot's pair of pants. In the beginning, you can go to Terapeak every single time and research your items, but I prefer you just use the sold section. So type in whatever you're looking for, look at the solds, look at the most recently sold, look for what it's sold for at the highest, look at what it's sold for the lowest, look at how often they sell, look at your competitors, and I would recommend not doing that in Terapeak until later. In the beginning, once you're getting going, you don't want to spend that much time on each individual item. You want to learn to just pick items that have a fast sell-through rate versus looking at Terapeak and long-term trends. Long-term trends don't really apply when you need money now.
Master J is asking, is it best to copy someone's listing or make your own listing and do all your items specific yourself? What's the difference in copying someone's listing and doing your own specific?
So copying somebody directly is called plagiarism, right? But in our world, if you copy multiple people, that's considered research. So it doesn't work if you're copying and not knowing why. A lot of people copy what we do on the channel or in the group without understanding the reason. So for example, if you sold gold bars at a discount, you don't need coupons. So maybe we use 10% promoted listings, but for you, it doesn't make sense to use 10% promoted listings. So copying doesn't make sense. You can reference and try to figure out why people are doing something. That's really useful. Like, why does this person use this title in this way? Why does this person have photos like this? Why does this person have the price like that? If you're just straight copying, you won't learn anything, and you're going to be in big trouble because you won't understand why your sales are slow. A lot of people just copy and they don't know why. So it's like that story where this lady is cooking meatloaf and her son's like, Why is it cut in half? And she's like, I don't know. That's the way my mom did it. So let me call grandma. Call grandma, and grandma's like, I don't know. That's just That's just how I always do it. Let me ask my mom because that's how she did it. And then you call great grandma, and she says that her pan was too short, so she had to cut it into two and bake it twice. So you wouldn't want to cut your listing in half for no reason and not understand why. So copying never works. People who just try to imitate other people who are successful, it never works. You got to figure out why.
Next question is Adriel Ortiz's. What's the best way on the Seller Hub to check items that have not been performing well? I'm trying to revive my store and donate to poor performers.
You should go to the active listing page and sort by oldest listing. There you can figure out the items that have been in your store the longest, and you want to look by their start date, and then go through there and figure out why those items have not sold. So there's 9 different reasons that it would sell slower. I cover that in my masterclass series. Episode number 3, I go over every single possible reason why your sales will be slow. Start with the oldest, make adjustments, and you might want to take the GE method of handling your eBay store and just get rid of the bottom 5% of your items every single month. The bottom 5%, redonate them. Just take them out of your store and spank yourself on the way to the thrift store to not pick up those items again. And again, it requires a lot of thinking. You have to think about, why did these items not sell? That way, the new items you put in your store don't get into that same position.
Chris Turner asks, is the cost of your group eligible to write off your taxes?
Yes, anything that you invest towards improving your business is a write-off. I'm not a CPA, but of course, educational materials, college, that's related, meeting up with a group of people to discuss something that's specific to this is a write-off. An accountant is a write-off. Things that are related to improving your business are all write-offs, including this group.
Gone Fishing asks, how does eBay advanced promotions work?
So advanced promotions is where you pick a specific keyword. So let's say I want to sell knit hats. So I could buy the word knit and I could buy the word hats and say, I'm going to spend $100 advertising this term. So something I thought was really interesting is on a pullover hoodie, I saw somebody rank number 1 in the enclosure keyword, right? Which is funny because there's no enclosure on a pullover. It's not like zip up or button, right? But that keyword was really cheap. Like, so I don't know if it's because people were not buying anything, but even the pullover sweater guy was saying, I want to own that. So somebody looking for a zip up or a button down jacket or outerwear was being recommended this hoodie. So that's how advanced promotions work. You pick a key term and you try to rank for it, and it's usually a waste of time unless you have a lot of the same thing. The guy that was selling those pullover hoodies had thousands of those. So that makes sense to spend the time to optimize that. And again, I don't recommend promoted listings for people who sell less than 10 items a day, because you need to be spending that time finding good items in your store, not optimizing a small store. Like, let's say you're optimizing jackets, but you only have 4. That's like a huge, like, once you're 4 sold out, all that effort you put into optimizing it is gone. So if you have hundreds of jackets, then maybe it makes sense.
Next question is Nifty Nook Thrift says, hi, Chris. I recently switched over to your inventory system from bins, and it's awesome. How often do you have to replace the cardboard boxes?
Never, hopefully. So if you have shelves, depends on the humidity in the room. I think moisture destroys cardboard boxes more than anything. If you have a lot of space in between your shelves, you can reach in and pull an item out of the cardboard box with the inventory system without damaging it. So like right now, like these items on this rack are listed in chronological order. So there's a number, and then the number gets bigger as it goes further down the line. So imagine if this was a shelf. I could just reach under the shelf and pull this out without moving the box. So what damages the boxes is pulling it in and out, but I sold tens of thousands of items with them, and I never replaced a single box, so I don't think they wear out.
Digital J asks, do you recommend starting straight off as limited company or starting as a sole trader on Amazon and eBay?
You should start as a sole proprietorship always. The extra cost of running a corporation is almost never worth it in the beginning. And also, it's like there's corporate fees for that. In California, it costs $700 to be a corporation. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody in the beginning, because you want to use that $700 to grow your store. You are by default a sole proprietorship in the United States. So you're already a business. As soon as you sell something to your friend, you're a business. You are liable for that revenue that you got from your friend. So it's not required. I don't recommend you do it until you're making like $60,000 a year profit. That's my recommendation, but I'm not a CPA. And also, this is not financial advice. This is an entertainment channel. But that's what I recommend. You stay a sole proprietorship as long as you can. Do it at home as long as you can.
Piggy Bank asks, "Hey Chris, how can I get all those priority boxes you have in the background? And how does priority mail work?"
So priority mail is the expedited version of the post office. It arrives between 2 and 4 business days. These supplies are available for free at USPS.com in the shipping supply section. You cannot use them for anything except for priority mail. And also, do not abuse these. Do not turn them inside out. Do not send first class items in there. And please, for the love of God, do not use these for UPS or FedEx. It's so annoying to me because you're stealing. Don't steal from the post office. Don't open a UPS account, get the UPS labels, and ship through the post office. That's also stealing. I don't know why people do that. Labels are a tenth of a cent. Don't steal things that are so cheap it doesn't make any sense. It's bad juju. And I think that these post office supplies should not be abused, and it really does cut down on the cost of shipping. So for me, it costs us 50 cents in time to create a Frankenbox, which is 2 box number 7s combined. So based on hourly rate and how many boxes are produced per hour, you need to think about buying boxes like this where you need to assemble them and tape them, or there are things that require no tape and are way faster. So for example, if you use poly mailers and you're just ripping off the tag and shutting it, there is no tape and there is no putting it together. So you're saving actually quite a bit of time. Labor is the most expensive part of reselling. So got to think about your time. But these post office supplies are free at the post office.
Joshua McGowan says, "I have 54 followers on eBay and I want to know if you remember when you started seeing more sales per following."
I think that it is more so if you do a good job on the transaction, people will come back, and that's how you build a follower. So if you want to send an email to every single customer saying, if you like that purchase, come back, we have more of the same kind of stuff, that's a really good way to build your following. But the follower to sale ratio, I wouldn't say starts till you have thousands of followers. So I wouldn't focus on that so much other than just doing a good job, because there's plenty of people in the group who just started and they have repeat buyers, but that's not because of their following. That's because they did a good job.
Tara Thrifts asks, "A bit random, but does eBay search identify size L and LG as the same keywords?"
I don't think so. I think L and large, yes. I think eBay's algorithm picks up L and large is the same, but LG, LRG, LRGE, LE, I don't know if those are going to be ranking the same. They're probably going to rank similar because I bet eBay's algorithm is smart, but I recommend large or L or both, and smash the like button for the train. The train is always a character in our show.
Thomas the Engine.
Thomas the Engine, yes.
Lee is saying, "Yo, Chris, what's your thought on running 2 eBay stores? Me and my wife have niched it down to 2 categories and now thinking splitting the store. I'm in the UK and I think this will be more tax efficient."
I think it's the same tax-wise, because your household income is going to be, if you had 10 stores, it would be the same. It would be, unless you have a separate company for each, and that still makes less sense to me because it's not advantageous to have more than one store unless you're going to brand and market the store. So if you are Holly's Hats, then that makes sense to separate that from selling fishing lures, right? Because you could advertise Holly's Hats on your own platform and bring people in. But if you're just in 2 different categories, I would just have it be a more generic name like Holly's Wares, and do marketing that way to bring people in. That way you're not stuck in that category as well. And opening 2 different tabs and having 2 different stores open sucks. I've done that before, and I really just want to run one store one way instead of running multiple tabs. And then even more confusing is when people cross-list and now they have multiple tabs and multiple browsers open. That's even more confusing. So I recommend one store, everything in it. I think that's more tax efficient too, because you only need one company.
Digital J asks, "Do you have to list 5 to 10 products daily to improve the algorithm on eBay or Amazon, or is that a myth?"
It's not related. So if you list consistently, what happens is you get consistent traffic. You don't actually have to list every day, though. You could just list once and be done, especially if you're a replenishable seller. If you just list one item and it sells every single day, it'll rank in the top of searches, and you don't need promoted listings, and you don't need to list every day. You can just have one listing and it sells every single day. If you have multiple items that are unique, though, then I recommend you list every single day to keep that traffic coming into your store. You get a boost for newly listed, and you get a boost for newly ending soon. So I want that boost every day. So if you decide to not list every day, those days you don't have the boost, and then 30 days later you don't have the ending soonest boost as well. So I recommend listing every day, but it's not required.
Damon D asks, why do some collectibles sell in any economy, example video games? If we are in a pre-recession, why are people still paying top dollar for video games?
It's just supply and demand. The demand is higher than the supply. When the recession comes on or there's a pandemic or something, more people are at home, so more people play games. As people make more money, they also buy more games. In the collectible market, mostly the top things do well. I would say that the majority of video games are actually still worthless. It's only like a percentage of video games that do very well, and the rest of them don't do very well. So every single collectibles market is the same. There's not that much supply. Everybody wants the good games, and they can't make enough of them.
Digital J asks, would you be responsible for handling returns when dropping from different suppliers, or is it okay to get the customer to send it back to the supplier?
It's pretty annoying to buy something from eBay and get something from HomeDepot.com, and then they say, can you send it back to HomeDepot.com? So it's not a good experience for the buyer. They're not going to do that. They're just going to open a case on eBay, and eBay is going to give them your return address. If your home address is Home Depot and you send it back to Home Depot, then eBay is going to know that you're drop shipping, and you get a lower level of traffic. So like eBay wants to promote sellers who have their item, right? So if you're drop shipping from somebody else, and then now your customer has to return it to a different company. And what would be even more annoying is if you said, yo, I drop shipped this from Home Depot. You didn't like it, send it back to Home Depot. I'm going to wait to get a refund from Home Depot first and then refund you. That's going to be a horrible experience. They're definitely leaving you a negative. So I would just have them send it back to you and you return it to Home Depot. That's how I would do it.
Adriel Ortiz, is it best to have multiple promoted campaigns or one campaign that performs well?
It's best to test and see which promoted campaigns work or don't work so you can answer that for yourself. It depends, right? So if an item is already going to sell, you don't need promoted listings at all. If an item is very competitive and a lot of people are trying to buy it and a lot of people are selling it, then maybe you need 10 different promoted listings campaigns to make it work because it's so competitive. Maybe you need to rank every single word. Like if you're selling, the best example of this is headphones. It's really hard to sell headphones. There's a million competitors, and I could make crisp pods and order them from Alibaba for 10 cents a piece. Like literally that cheap, 10 cents a piece. And you've never heard of crisp pods, right? So I had to spend all this money ranking it. Had to get a really good picture, which costs money, really good title, which matches all the keywords, plus maybe volume discount, plus maybe black is not lit enough for the kids, so it's got to be black and gold. So like it's not that easy to rank high in that category, and that would take a lot of promotions to make it work. But if I was selling the only pair of gold AirPods, it would just sell because it's like that's so rare and everybody wants it.
Silver Bushman asks, if I make bulk listing for the same products that are selling daily, would it benefit me to still list random items?
No, if I was you're either a replenishable seller or a one-off seller. So if I was listing in, let's say I had widget number 1 and it's selling really well, I would just do I would do another listing that's widget number 1 and widget number 2, like in the same family. So if I'm selling a red item and I'm replenishing it, I would order a blue item and a black item and a white item, and then I would do like some different samples like black and white, black and red, black and blue, different combinations of that, 3-pack, 5-pack, 10-pack, 2-pack. I would keep it in my same niche. I would not list like a toaster and a skateboard just to keep it going. Listing random items never works. I've never recommended that. I'm going to list all this random stuff that's not in my niche. I've never recommended that because it doesn't work.
Juggernaut asks, just curious how you can list so many things so fast with all the different types of clothing and brands you buy each week. Do you just guesstimate your listing price based on your past sales?
Yeah, so this is how it works. Essentially, when we list thousands of items every week, it's this, not every week, hundreds of items every week. What we're essentially doing is going through the same format, right? So we're going over brand, what it is, what size it is, all the different item specifics. So as long as you understand this is a Legence denim jacket, size small, acid wash, blue, short, jeans, right? Or something, whatever title that I'm coming up with. You can just repeat that when all the items are similar. Price wise, if you type in Legence jean jacket, you can look at the solds. It takes less than 30 seconds to come up with an average price of the jacket. Type it in. For me, I already know the pricing, but if I didn't, I could quickly look up this jacket. If it was Levi's, if it was Gucci, I would just quickly do a quick search and do it. But it only takes roughly 3 or 4 minutes to do research all the way through. So let me know in the chat, guys. How long does it take you to research the price of one item? I'm curious how long it would take you to find an approximate price for an item.
Jake the Degenerate, you said you should go for items over a certain amount net profit, but
Yeah.
since gas is a fixed cost and you've already spent time sourcing, shouldn't you take any item over, say, $5 net profit?
I think I think that gets people into trouble because you end up picking up items that you never list. If you have the capacity of 20 listings a day, right? I think it behooves you to go to 3 or 4 more thrift stores and find better stuff than to go to one thrift store and get everything and come home. That got me into trouble. So when I looked at Tech's route, which is 49 stores, versus my route, which is 3 or 4 stores, mine's much more risky because I got to squeeze out some of these items that are kind of questionable. So I don't recommend ever picking up items that are $5 profit in the resale market, which is what we do. Should be at least 10. If you make a mistake and it ends up being 5, that's okay. But what happens if you make a mistake on a $5 item? So I recommend, if you can, to widen your route. Gas is actually much cheaper than it was, and gas prices are not they're not as influential as finding one. If you find 1 or 2 items at each store you go to, it pays for, well, easily pays for gas.
Latasha Bell, how can I decrease shipping time? I find myself not having boxes. I am everything. It's written a little bit interesting. I am everything stored due to my supply. I only purchase at 10%. I have 6 Amazon returns and Goodwill bins. Margin tempting. But it looks like the main question is, how can I decrease shipping time?
So it sounds like you're having a hard time finding the items maybe in your inventory system. So I recommend a chronological date-based system. So what that means is, if your system is 0 through 100, 1 is the first item you listed and 100 is the last item you listed. So if you have that in your system and you sold number 50, you know it's in the middle of your inventory system, so you can just go right to it. If you're selling a bunch of random items, it is very difficult to build any kind of traction. That's why on this rack we have hundreds of clothing, but they're all in the same category. They're all stored the same way, and they're all presented the same way. Even though they're all different, they're kind of the same.
Becky Griffin says, I've been listing 10 a day for about 6 months. I currently have 741 listings. How long do you think it will take to sell 10 a day? I am currently selling about 5 a day.
So 5 a day times 30 is 150 divided by 750-ish. That's like for 20% of your store selling each month. So it takes about 5 months for you to sell through your items. So for you to get the full capacity where you're selling 10 and listing 10, that's actually going to take several years because that sell-through rate's a little bit low. So my recommendation is, to get to 20 in your category, if you can maintain everything, I would just go to a 1,400 to 1,500 item store instead of trying to squeeze out 10 sales from 700-ish items, because that's usually not realistic unless you're selling really, really on-trend items. There are stores in our group that have like Eileen Fisher or better, like really good brands, and they still don't have one-third sell-through rate, which is in the 33%. So I would say that I would maintain growth at half. So you're at 5 and you're listing 10 and selling 5. I would start listing 12 until you sell 6, then listing 14 until you sell 7 and slowly creep up to that 10 number. But it's going to take you several years at that rate because the sell-through rate's pretty slow. So I would say like minimum year and a half to get to 10 sales a day if you're just listing 10 a day and never increase. So I would rather you be at list 20, sell 10, twice as big of a store.
Chrono asked, does below standard rating affect your sales? If I make a second account, is there any rules against posting the same item on 2 accounts?
There's every rule against that. So being below standard heavily affects your traffic and rate. And if you create a new account that's above standard, you're circumventing that. So you can actually get suspended on both accounts if you do that. So my recommendation is fix your below standard account, make it above standard, and just go that way because they're going to catch you. Unless you have like a totally different company, totally different zip code, totally different items, they will catch you because it's so obvious. This account's not working. Open a new account with the same items. Bro, they know it's you. Like, their algorithm's going to catch that.
Wes H. asks, how should you deal with a customer stating they didn't receive an item from USPS? Does it say when it was said that it was delivered?
If it says delivered, then you're in the clear. I have an item right now that was supposed to be delivered November 7th, and it's still not there. I will automatically lose that claim because they never got it. If it says that they got it, then eBay's got your back. Don't worry about it. It will automatically close in your favor, and you can't get a negative feedback because of that reason.
Tara Thrift says, I'm a used clothing seller. My sales have shifted and seems like only luxury brands, pricey outerwear, Patagonia, Arc'teryx is all that's moving. It's confusing considering the economy. Any thoughts?
People want nice stuff on the cheap.
Yep.
That's just how it works. So like, just because the economy's in the tank doesn't mean that I'm gonna reduce my taste. That's how people act. Like, they're just, instead of buying brand new Arc'teryx, they're buying pre-owned Arc'teryx. So from my experience, the same people buy everything. Don't you guys know people who are shopaholics and have way too much stuff? That person's going to shop no matter what. So if their economy is down, they're just going to go on eBay and find cheaper stuff. Regular people who don't have a shopping problem stop buying altogether. When the recession goes down, they stop buying things. So it's difficult. Those common items that people would buy at the mall for $50 that they normally buy on eBay for $20, maybe they pass this year. So it's hard. I'm thinking about that too. As I get stuff, the stuff that's really cheap, I'm only making like $1 to $3 profit on. The stuff that's good, I'm like trying to hold my ground and get a little more for it. That's all we can do because like people want fancy shit on the cheap. That's just the reality of our country.
The Ethereal Muse asks, is it just me or has eBay changed the way money is handled and processed?
It's not just you, it's everyone. They handle their own money now. So they used to use third parties to handle their money, and now they took it in-house. They're using a company called Adyen to process the money internally, and that's one of the reasons why they were not able to offer fee netting before. So now when you sell something for 10, eBay deposits $8.70 in your account. They take that money out first because they can control it. That also allows them to process best offers. But it's not completely set up yet because not everybody has that integration yet, so they can't accept the money immediately. So that's why some best offers don't immediately charge the buyer. So it is what it is, but they handle their own money. They've been doing so for about 18 months.
We're all caught up.
Awesome. So wait, what time is it?
It is 10:55.
Okay, guys, we're gonna go 5 more minutes. So let me know if you guys have any other questions. This is a live Q&A that we do every single Monday. And right now, my hot takes, just to remind everybody, you make less money cross-listing one item on 2 platforms versus 2 items on 1 platform. You can't be consistent without a schedule. Guys, the reason why I frame these negatively is because I want you to think about it that way because it's more effective. And I'll reframe them in a positive manner in just a second. Number 3 is, if you don't know items that profit $20, you'll be stuck at a certain income level. The next is, selling common items is advanced. Next is, your entire eBay store should be 4 hours, or your entire eBay process should be 4 hours or less. And the last one is, if you don't know how eBay works, your sales will be really slow. So I'm just going to redo this in a positive way real quick, which is, sell on 1 platform, make a schedule and stick to it, research items that you can make $20 profit or more, sell common items after you've already exhausted all the good items you can find, condense your eBay day to less than 4 hours, and really, really focus on how eBay works, or how eBay works. That way you'll understand why your sales are slow. And let me know. We'll do 3 more questions and we'll just wait for people to have them. And then we got to get back to work, guys. No questions? You guys figured it out? That's it? That's it? Apparently, or nobody. Or people are afraid. Oh, here
Red
we go.
has a question.
Okay.
Red is asking, why do you use priority mail flat rate boxes? Aren't they more costly than first class services or regular box priority mail?
All my items are over 1 pound. So I can't use flat rate boxes on Whatnot. That's the reason why I'm using these box number 7s. So I'm using 2 boxes right now. Box number 7 and the USPS shoebox. So the shoebox and box number 7 are not flat rate, and that's because the platform that I am on doesn't want me to use flat rate, and it is 100% more expensive than using flat rate boxes. So it is what it is currently. If you're selling on eBay, Mercari, or Poshmark, I recommend the flat rate ones.
Seattle Easy asks, top 3 or 5 biggest lessons you've learned from eBay.
Oh my goodness. Number 1, you get what you put into it. I feel like eBay is a very loyal partner. If you give her what she needs, she'll give you what you need. So the traffic is related to what types of items you feed her. So if you feed her garbage, she's not going to be happy and she's going to ruin your life. Fill your house with all these things that don't sell. So you get what you put into it, probably number 1. Number 2 is you really need to spend time on figuring out your listing process and have a dedicated area. So right here, dedicated shipping, dedicated listing. Right here, dedicated photography area, listing area. Keeping it all the same. Workers, or you come to work at the same time every single day. Treat it like a business, not a hobby. That's huge. Number 3, I would say that continuously be learning. Don't act like you figured it out because you haven't. I haven't figured it out. No one's figured it out. You're just doing the best you can with what you have. And the last one, probably really, really focusing on suppliers and that long-term relationship. Be clear with where you want to go. Always show up. I was out of town on the weekend for a wedding, so normally I source on Sundays. And when Holly gets here on Monday, there's all this stuff that needs to be processed. There's that stuff's not here today, so I have to go get it today. And tomorrow we'll be processing all that stuff. So you just got to be reliable. In case something comes up, you still got to follow through, and I think that's important. You got to be reliable no matter what.
Adam Mack says, if I have an item value at $10, how should I price it including shipping? Should I price it with shipping to get close to the $10 value?
I think total price is the price that matters. So for a customer, if you go 99 cents plus 901 shipping, it's the same thing as $10 free shipping in their mind because they're paying 10 out of their pocket. But 99 cents plus 901 shipping sounds sketchy. Like why do that? It's an inappropriate amount for shipping. So whatever shipping is actually costs, the closer to that is going to be what customers want. So one of the metrics that eBay ranks people on that a lot of people don't know is reasonable shipping charge. So the most reasonable is free, and the least reasonable is 1 penny plus all the rest of the money shipping. So be as reasonable as you can afford on the shipping, but again, a customer is really just going to think about what comes out of their pocket. We'll do 2 more.
Okay. M. Miller says, I find that my sales are better on Mercari compared to eBay. I sell used games and consoles. Are the metrics that different?
Yes. When you sell on Mercari, the traffic is front loaded. So, which means that you might get 100 views in the first week. On eBay, because it's more democratic, they'll give you like 20 views every week forever on that type of an item usually. So how that works is Mercari gets a lot of sales in the beginning, and then it kind of drops off because they favor the new items coming onto the platform. So I recommend probably just eBay and building up a big enough inventory of game consoles that it makes sense. But if you're just finding things and flipping them quick, and you don't mind, I guess, delisting, relisting on Mercari because the traffic is gone, then you can go that route. And I guess if you're going to go for fast sellers, maybe Mercari makes sense because they front load all the traffic. So if you only need 100 views to sell your item no matter what, then maybe Mercari is best because they give you all 100 views the first week. Then after that, it drops off.
Here's a really good question. Jewel City Trash says, is buy now or bid better?
Okay, so we'll end on this one.
Yeah, that's
So
a good one.
if you're going to put a buy it now, right? So that's essentially, I say I take this, is that a sweater?
Yeah.
Okay, take this sweater, and you decide to go buy it now, $24.99, right? So this is, in my opinion, the best way to buy something. You go online, you type in gray sweater and size medium, and you find something that's reasonable. It's in your price range. You click buy it now, or if it's too expensive, you make an offer. That's a really good buying experience. Auction, if you're doing live auction like me, it's not the best experience because you're just buying what I have available. So it may not be exactly what you want. You kind of get what you want. It might be the right size. It might be the right color. If you're really lucky, it's exactly what you want, but you'll end up paying less money than buy it now. So if you're trying to get the most money, you want to buy it now with the best presentation. If you're trying to sell something as fast as possible, then go bids. Auction, you can do on Whatnot as low as 15-second auctions. On eBay, you can go as long as 10-day auctions. So I like the stores that do all 10-day auctions. You know it's going to sell in 10 days, but don't expect all the money. I think eBay did the research. A bid will sell for 14 to 40% less than buy now. So faster but less. Faster but less money. Yeah, think about it. If you are a low volume person, I would never do auction. Because if you need to get all the money. You're only selling a few things, try to get all the money. So if you're selling all the things, then just take some of the money. That's how I look at it. So buy now versus bids is a great question. Do I recommend both? I recommend both if you always do both. So like always have auctions on Friday, go for it. Always do this kind of stuff Monday through Thursday. That's easier. But if some days you do some of each, you have decision fatigue, and it's really difficult. Are we good, guys?
Oh, okay.
I think we're good. Or do we want to do another one?
We're just gonna say,
If you want to.
yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of questions though.
Oh, let's keep going then. Let's keep going.
And I'm gonna say thank you to both Fadiz Games for supporting us.
Appreciate you.
Let's see the next one we have. Jake the Degenerate. Why do you still give eBay props when they did you dirty?
I know, right? Because they didn't really do me dirty. They changed my life. So I'm still super grateful. Even though I don't sell on eBay anymore, I mean, they basically gave me an awesome YouTube channel. I have in my opinion, the best eBay group. Like I have most of my friends are eBay friends. So they didn't do me that dirty. They didn't me. I mean, they basically made me who I am. So sometimes you gotta be appreciative, even if you're not treated fairly.
Cardi B when she's like, thanks to all the haters.
That's right. It's like Cardi B. Thanks to all the haters.
Pascal Petit got one question. On
'Kay.
eBay, writing a long title with many info versus very short listing title for the principal. Any good effects?
This is interesting. So the more accurate your title is to what people are searching, the higher it will rank. So if somebody types in, what are those mugs called? Ray Dunn, right? Ray Dunn mug, and it has the writing on it. And your title is just Ray Dunn mug, right? And people type in Ray Dunn mug over and over again, and they match with you perfectly. You pop up, they buy it. That's awesome, but then it's only like if it doesn't convert and you don't win that spot, you get pushed further and further down the rank and nobody else can find you. But if you type in Ray Dunn mug, you go over what saying it is, what year it is, what size the mug is, everything, right? You use all 80 characters. You're giving yourself the widest net to catch somebody. So it's very dangerous to use a short title unless you convert right away, in my opinion.
Linda Ramirez asked, do you know if you write off donated items that are not selling?
Depends if you do cash or accrual accounting. So if you do cash accounting, you write it off when you buy it. I do that. So if I buy $5,000 worth of goods, I'm writing off $5,000 of my income. I cannot again write it off when I donate it. I'm stuck with it. If an item has a hole in it or there's an issue with it, I've already written it off. I wrote it off when I bought it. The other way of accounting is I buy the stuff and I only account for the expense when I sell it. So I sold it for $20. I paid $5 per piece. I made $15 profit. The rest of it is separate. So in that scenario, I could donate one and get a $5 tax refund if I decide to go that way. But I never recommend that kind of accounting unless you're like an accounting genius and you want to do things line by line, but that's really, really difficult.
Brandon Nguyen asked, do you like the eBay workflow that you previously had or the Whatnot workflow now?
The eBay workflow is the same every day. So it's like real simple. You come to work, you do your work, you go home. So if Holly worked for me in my eBay store, what she would do is she would come here. There would be items ready to list. She would photograph them, list them, put them away in the bins, and go home. For whatnot, because it's so random what I get, most of the day is her helping me sort through random stuff. So it's not as modular. So do I like it? I think that whatnot is maybe more exciting because there's a lot of stuff rolling through, but also can get kind of annoying as a worker because it's different every day. So it depends. Each has its pros and cons.
Yeah, yep. Asks, pictures are so important. Do you promote your listing on other sites like Instagram, etc., directing people to your shop?
I can, but then it's more like event planning. So this sounds a little wild, but like whatnot is more like planning a wedding than it is selling an e-commerce platform. You got to hype it up, right? So then it makes sense to go on to social media and say next Saturday it's going to be insane, right? We have got all this crazy stuff. You need to be there. That's going to work for a show if it truly is exciting. But you can't say, hey, come on Friday, we're selling used Merona. It's an oversized sweater with a hole in it. No one's going to show up for that. So, if you're gonna promote on social media, it better be worth people's eyes.
JD Drews asks, what was the first item you ever sold?
I think I sold this. Let's see. I can't remember the exact item, but I used to sell T-shirts that my friend made at the very, very beginning of my career. The first category of things that I really sold were cell phones. I sold the Palm Trio cell phone like pretty heavily when I first started on eBay. So that cell phone, I had a friend who had a kiosk, and he would just sell me the Sprint Palm Trio. I don't know. Most of you probably don't even know what a Palm Pilot is, but that's what I sold when I first started.
Oh, I remember that.
The stylus, and that was it didn't really catch on as well.
Piotr asks, how do I maintain a good relationship with my supplier? I'm worried that I'm not paying him enough for the stock that I get. All suppliers in my area charge 2 to 3 times more, and I pay him more. So is it fair?
Only that person can answer that.
Yeah.
So the longer your relationship, the the longer the relationship and the more you spend, the more leverage you have. Like, for example, I've been spending money from the same vendors for years now, so they trust me, and my price, this is pretty amazing actually, has not gone up. I've been buying from people for such a long time that I'm sort of grandfathered into lower pricing, even though their gas is going up, even though everything is going up. I'm assuming because I'm so reliable, I get kind of grouped into a lower amount. Like, even though I went to a wedding this weekend, I'm still driving there in horrible SF traffic today to get the stuff. So I think it's just show up on time, always pay on time.
So Rodrigue J was asking who the camera person was behind. It's me, Holly. It's
You want to
asking
say hi?
who I was. Yeah, it's
Holly is one of the workers.
it's me. Hi. I don't know if you
Yeah.
but thanks for asking.
Christine has a cold, I think.
The next one we have Chrono. I haven't had any transaction defects in the last 4 months, but still below standard. If I take down all my current listings and wait a few days, then repost on a new account, do you think I'll have issues?
Yes, I think they will find you. They will, Liam would say, they will hunt you down and find you because their algorithm is smart. So like, I'm sure they're on high alert. When a below standard account deletes all their listings, they probably red flag all these items. When they pop up again, and it's like, that's what happens with like stolen goods. They'd write down the serial numbers, and when it pops up for sale, they catch them. So it's very difficult to hide. I would not do that. I would fix your below standard by selling a lot of stuff for cheap. So if it happened 4 months ago and you're still in that cycle, that means you're not selling enough items. You need to move to the 90-day cycle. The 90-day cycle is where you sell at least 400 items, and these defects will fall off every quarter. If you're still on the annual review, which is what you're at right now, then it takes a whole year for it to fall off. So you need to currently sell a bunch of cheap items perfectly. So it depends on how much money you want to lose on these items if you want to do it faster. So if you sold 100 amazing items below market, you'll probably get your rating back up to above standard. That's the only way.
Kenny's asked, I thought you were banned. I thought you were banned again. How many times have you been banned and let back on?
I've only been banned once. I'm still not back left. I'm not back on yet. So working on that. Eventually I will get back on.
Musa says, hey Chris, how would you ship a $3,000 item? FedEx 1 day or priority mail, etc. Signature required?
Definitely signature required. I would go FedEx. It depends on what it is. Like the post office is so reliable. I have no qualms sending a $3,000 item via priority mail. I don't think I've ever sent even the overnight. I still use the post office. So let me think here. The most expensive items I've ever sold. I've sold multiple items over 5K. Always use the post office express. Make sure that you go before noon, because if it says 1 day shipping, but it's only 1 day shipping if it's shipped in the morning. So got to go there in the morning, get signature confirmation, and get it done through the post office. In my opinion, for something that expensive.
Digital J says, if I do drop shipping on eBay/Amazon and have a business address in my city for all returns, that would be better than using my home address, as I wouldn't want people checking my stock at home.
That's true. I guess I've seen some crazy scams where people figure out where the return address is and do it. I always recommend a PO box. So get a PO box that's not your address. My return address is the storage unit. So like if you really wanted to, you could figure out where I live, but it wouldn't be on the package. Yeah.
Jewel City Trash asks, are promotions worth doing?
That's a good question. So we have a video where I go over promoted listings where I explain if it's worth it or not. So the lowest rate that you can use is 2%. So what you want to do is sell items with no promotions. Does that make sense, guys? See how it does? Then add the lowest amount of promotions, which is 2%, and see if it works. Right? So if that doesn't work, maybe try increasing it to 3%. But if you go from 0 to 20% promoted listings, you skip 20 different opportunities to find a rate that's lower and still works. So you got to start from 0, then go to 2% and move up from there.
Splurge asks, for eBay, what do you suggest to do in regards to shipping and providing good customer service?
Ship same day, or ship as fast as possible, same day or 1 day, and then answer questions as soon as possible, same hour or same day.
Kenny asks, if I sell an item comic book for over $4,000, what's the best way to ship? Insurance with USPS or let eBay make purchase slip?
eBay, USPS, signature confirmation, and get some insurance on something like that.
Do you have Sam Hill asks, do you have a video of your setup? I know you have people who take pictures for you, but didn't know if you still have a setup of what's best to grade my system to be more efficient.
Yeah, so my system, if you type in how to make $140 an hour on eBay, I have Christine follows me as I do it in my setup. So essentially, you can watch exactly how I do it.
Cool. And we are going to say a shout out to Wes H for thanking us for all that we do. Thank you for supporting us as well. Let's see. Silver Birchman asks, if you print out an eBay shipping label a day before you ship it out, would this affect your shipping speed rating 1 day or handling still within time?
The cutoff is whenever you put the cutoff time at. So for me, I cut off shipments at 4 p.m. We don't ship anything after that, really. That goes out that day. It's going to go out the next day. So if you have same day handling, I would do a cutoff earlier in the morning. So let's say that you ship around 9 o'clock in the morning. You could have your cutoff time for same day be 9 o'clock in the morning. So everything after 9 a.m. ships the next day. Hopefully that makes sense. So I do same day handling with a morning cutoff time. That's how I handle that.
Bofuddy's Games asks, where is the best place to source inventory for free?
That's a good question, and we'll end on that. I think that the best place to find free inventory is either FreeCycle or Craigslist free section, or just driving around looking at curbs. The curb alert thing is real, but you do need like a truck or van to fit stuff into it as you find it. So hopefully that was useful, guys. That was my hot take. Hopefully they were spicy enough for you. I'll see you guys next week.